An Iranian couple sentenced a decade, aka 10 years, in prison for dancing in the street. Like, here's the thing. One, you definitely need to understand basically the laws in other countries, the cultural differences, but at the same time, like, this would be such a sad thing to witness. Like, if I was living in Iran and I saw this happen, it'd be really depressing. It's like, wow, you're really going to send a young couple to prison for just dancing. Let's get into it. Oh, no. So, a loved up Iranian couple was sentenced to more than 10 years in prison for dancing in a viral video that angered the Islamic State ruling regime. Hold on. So, this is the dancing? This is what got them 10 years in prison. It's like a lovey dovey romantic, like, dance routine. That is so messed up. Astiyaz Hagigi, 21, and her fiance Amir Mohammed Ahmad, 22, were seen in the clip taking a romantic stroll in front of the Azadi Tower, one of Tehran's main landmarks. They were busted in early November because women are not allowed to dance in public in Iran, let alone with a man, Agence France Presse said. Hagigi also appeared in the video without a headscarf in solidarity with protests over the September death of Masa Amini, 22, after her arrest for not abiding by strict hijab rules. Hagigi and her boo, again, I am 100% certain I'm not pronouncing that name right. I apologize. And her boo were this week each sentenced to 10.5 years in prison by a revolutionary court in Tehran. The US based human rights activist news agency HRANA said the couple, both popular on Instagram, were convicted of encouraging corruption and public prostitution, as well as gathering with the intention of disrupting national security, the court stated. What the actual hell? They were also banned from using the internet and from leaving Iran, the report said. And sources close to their families said they'd been deprived of lawyers during the court proceedings, AFP said. Hagigi is reportedly in the notorious Korchak prison for women outside Tehran, whose conditions are regularly condemned by activists, AFP said. It was just the latest crackdown on those protesting the regime's brutality against women that has seen at least 14,000 arrests, according to the United Nations. Man, that is horrendous. In November, just a few months into the brutal crackdown of protests, Volker Turk, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, said Iran was now in a full-fledged human rights crisis. The protests using the slogan hashtag Woman Life Freedom started in September when Amini died in the custody of morality police who took her in for inappropriate attire. Authorities say she suffered a heart attack after being taken to a station to be educated, but her family says she did not have heart problems and was covered in bruises. Hundreds of people have been killed in the unrest so far, with some protesters put to death, while thousands more have been arrested, including high-profile journalists and Iranian personalities. The hijab became mandatory 4 years after the 1979 revolution established the Islamic Republic of Iran. Let's see some of these comments. And by the way, if you stumble upon this, feel free to give your thoughts on this. If you're in Iran right now, feel free to give your thoughts on this. Like, seeing something like this makes me really sad because the United States has so much freedom, and it's sad to see people trying to destroy that freedom right now. Wow. Like, it's just like people shouldn't have to be dealing with that. First, you allow public dancing, and next thing, you're allowing men to pretend that they're women. Better to err on the side of caution. America is sicker than Iran in my eyes. That's an interesting statement. Only 10 years? Got off lucky. It was a really depressing comment. Like that's a really depressing comment because that kind of is true because what would have stopped Iran on just offing them? Like literally just ending their lives. It's just so horrible. So this person named Sharkbait says, regardless of how you feel about what they did, they both deserved what they got if you're stupid enough to think that you can successfully protest in an Islamic socialist or communist country. Take what happens to you if they didn't learn after what happened to the Christian pastor in Canada, our communist neighbor to the north. They're just plain stupid. Now, I don't think they're necessarily stupid, but they were definitely not thinking wisely. Because if you are in Iran or a country like Iran that is ran like Iran, don't do things so blatantly obvious as to what they did. Like, the laws in some of these countries are insane. Like, we could just take, like, Dubai for an example. Dubai, if you say curse words out in the open, if someone complains about that, you can be arrested. Like, that's crazy. But that can happen. If you were to, I think, make out with someone in Dubai, like in public, you both could be arrested. So people need to be very aware as to what are the laws or the obvious laws within the countries that they are located in. Archaic laws in a country known for violence and backward thinking. I feel for the couple, as do I. I wouldn't suggest protesting over there. Those folks will get 20 years or worse. This goes against everything I was raised to think or say, but I wouldn't be broken up if they all just. Okay, interesting. Phoebe Darling, I wonder what would happen if every able bodied person in Iran decided to get rid of the government at the same time. The problem is that probably would never happen because, one, I'm pretty certain they're not allowed to have weapons, so how are they really going to defend themselves against the government, aka Second Amendment, you know? Interesting. But again, feel free to give your thoughts on this. I just found this pretty sad, but also this goes to show you the importance of having a lot of freedom in the country that you live in. Like, Lord, 10 years in prison for dancing with your fiance.